meeting order. Ask y'all to please join the board in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Consent agenda, sir.
All right, Mr. Shaw, present items A, B, C, D, and E.
Patrick makes a motion to approve. Steve seconds. All in favor? 5-0, sir. Items for discussion or for consideration by the inaction by the Board of Trustees, personnel.
All right, Mrs. May and I are recommending Jamie Wilson for the position of Mitchell Junior High School Special Education Resource Aide. Mr. Reynolds and I are recommending Shelby McPike for the position of Bus 36 Special Education Monitor. Mrs. Gilbert and I are recommending Natasha Carlisle cover the leave of absence for grade 3 teacher Ashley Eichard until approximately December 21st. Dr. Comer, Dr. Roush, and Mr. Ellis are recommending April Kidd for the position of Cosmos Director, and that won't start until July 1st of 2022. Dr. Grissom and I are recommending the granting of a leave of absence for Courtney Nolan. She's going to extend that for second semester. Dr. Grissom and I are recommending unpaid leave for Cheyenne McKnight. She's a Hatfield Elementary aide, and the leave will begin November 15th and conclude on November 19th. Mr. Pritchett and I are recommending Darren Chasteen be a senior class sponsor for this school year, and there are no transfers.
Motion approved. Patrick makes that motion. Cindy seconds. All in favor? 5-0, sir. Item B.
Item B, asking or giving the recommendation to approve the resolution authorizing participation by board members in meetings by electronic means. And Mr. Piven, anything you want to add or any clarity?
During the public health emergency, this doesn't apply, but once that's lifted and if anyone wants to participate by electronic means and not be required to be physically present, you have to have this resolution adopted, setting up the procedures for a member to participate in the meeting remotely. So you don't have to have this if you don't want to allow any participation remotely, but if you want to at least have that option in the future, then you have to have this resolution approved. This is worded so to allow as much participation as possible, and as many to participate as possible. You can have more strict requirements, but this is more, the statute is worded, so. If you want to have to be allowed to participate.
Motion. Steve makes motion to approve it. Patrick seconds. All in favor? 5-0, sir. Item C.
All right, Greg, thanks for your work on that, by the way. Item C, recommendation to approve competition dates and overnight stays for the 21-22 MHS Stingers dance team. And the one overnight stay for sure, which is traditional, is the competition at McCutcheon High School. The others, there may be a possibility of overnight stays based on when their draw would be. Whether I think there was been a time or two in the last couple of years where they've had an early morning competition scheduled like at 7 or 8 in the morning. That was, it was up at, or it was over at Mount Vernon or someplace like that. So other than that, that's it for overnight stays.
Motion approved. Patrick makes motion to approve. Steve seconds. All in favor? 5-0, sir. Item D.
Item D, recommendation to approve the formation of MJHS soccer at the club level. That would be boys and girls. Soccer would be club level for at least the next 2 years, see if there was, how much participation we would get for that. If participation was good, it's something that the board would see as something to bring under the athletic umbrella in the future. We might look at that too, but it would be a couple years away. Any position would be supported through a booster club that they would start at that time, and it'd be kind of the same example of we saw the success of softball and baseball for a few years at the club level and brought them under the athletic umbrella starting this year at the junior high. But it's all about our efforts and Mr. Wagner's efforts to build programs at the youth level. So that's just the next step in building the soccer program.
Patrick makes motion to approve. Cindy seconds. All in favor? 5-0, sir.
All
Item
right.
E.
Item E, asking for recommendation to appoint a school board member to the Mitchell High School Alumni Hall of Fame Selection Committee. So, Mr. Shaw, what I would need is a recommendation from a current board member to serve on that committee for this year, to serve along with the others to.
Steve Burton.
Second. Have a motion to approve Mr. Burton.
Do you accept the nomination?
I accept. He got a choice.
I'll make that motion.
Patrick makes a motion to nominate Steve Burton. All, or Sydney seconds, all in favor? 4.
All right, Mr. Burton, thank you for doing that. I'll get you more information here in the near future, sir. All right, we ready for discussion, Mr. Shaw?
Yes, sir.
All right, just keep the board updated. Myself and Mr. Ellis and Dr. Roush have been asked to present at the National Rural Educators Association Conference this Friday. Lucky for us, this year it's in Indianapolis, so that's a close one for us, and we're really excited that Rural Education Association wants us to focus on Cosmos and the shared collaborative of teachers, and perhaps will be, I think they said, at least 47 of the 50 states will be there at that conference, so they're hoping that may be a model that others can use too, because there's rural everywhere, so.
Will we get to see your presentation, or are you gonna?
There is a virtual option. We had to record a virtual and send it in, but then we'll also be presenting live too, so. The virtual is not nearly as good because Mr. Ellis couldn't be part of the virtual one, so. Oh, and April Kidd's also been asked to present with us as well, so we're excited about that. That's this Friday. Kind of ties right in with item B, just to update the board. Indiana University has received a very healthy grant, and I will give IU credit. They basically said they took the Cosmos model and are kind of stealing our ideas of the shared teachers, but they've been tasked within 5 years of building a course catalog of over 90 classes to be shared throughout the state of Indiana for all kids, and that is K through 12 courses. And they did invite Cosmos, and hoping Cosmos would want to be on the ground floor of getting that started. So year 1 of the grant, they're wanting for 15 courses to start with, to open a course catalog. Myself, Dr. Roush, and Mr. Ellis, we've all spoken with our staff and teachers, and we're definitely in favor of wanting to do that. That just promotes Cosmos even further, and it takes the mission a little bit bigger. And some great things is, any teacher that is accepted, they will become additional employees of Indiana University. So they'll be compensated $4,500 per semester course that they share. Also, each school district that is participating gets a $10,000 grant, grant dollars that we can spend on whatever we want to spend that on. Some are probably going to spend it on getting some classrooms ready to teach virtually. We're kind of ahead of that game. We already did that, but we can always find a use for $10,000 somewhere to help the kids. So that's not going to be an issue. The coolest part also is that gets us on the ground floor to help design it, and it makes a course catalog open to Mitchell kids too. So that's in no way, shape, or form is it not a no-brainer. And the courses that our kids can take would be at no cost to the kids or the families either. So I think it's a win all over the board. So, and partnering with Cosmos really needed, just to be honest, Cosmos needed IU. We needed IU to jump on board and really help promote what we were doing. Vincent's is great, Ivy Tech's great, but IU, Purdue, the two big ones, they carry a little bit more weight. We needed one of those two to be in with us. So, and I know Purdue's kind of watching cautiously, especially what direction we go with CTE. I know Purdue's really interested in looking what we're doing, especially in those science and engineering type courses that we might offer to be involved as well.
I have
So,
a question.
yes, ma'am.
Will these replace the dual placement classes, or?
No,
anyway?
that's a great question. The way IU is pitching it, eventually in 5 years, the 90 different courses at a minimum that they're gonna offer in that course catalog of shared courses, there'll be some dual credit courses, there'll be some that are just what we call passion courses that kids might just be interested in, and teachers have always wanted a chance to teach. They've never had time in their schedule or being allowed to do that, so it's gonna be a mixture of everything. What's gonna be interesting, the secondary grade levels are more designed to offer those semester-like courses. It's gonna be interesting to see what direction IU goes with the elementary level courses and how they're gonna do that. So that's gonna, but I'm glad we're kind of getting in on the ground floor of that, because I think the elementary world, that could be a really interesting place to go on that. And just to be honest, with the work in Cosmos, we've not ventured into the elementary level of shared courses yet. So that kind of helps get us into an avenue we haven't been forced to go to yet, so it helps us grow as well too. Did Cindy, that answer your question? All right, any other questions about this? And I'll keep you guys updated as we go on. I have another meeting with Candace and Jimmy, and I have a meeting with IU tomorrow. So I'll keep everybody updated on that. COVID numbers have stayed relatively same since we lifted the mask mandate. Jess, I think they peaked out Friday at, I think, we had 11%.
We were at that today.
So we're staying pretty level right now. So I think quarantine numbers are staying pretty steady, and when a kid comes off, another one's been replacing, but we've not been having one kid come off and 6 more go on like we did there for the start of the year. So the numbers seem to be leveling out pretty nicely there. Just a reminder, after Mr. Shaw, after we conclude this meeting, need to call another quick meeting to where I just read through the tentative agreement on the master contract for the 2-year master contract for the teachers. And then my last thing, Mr. Shaw, is just a reminder, ratification of the teacher contract is this Thursday at 4 here in this room to vote on the teacher contract for the 21 through the 23 school year. And Mr. Shaw, that is all I have.
Anybody else? Anybody out there got anything? Go ahead.
I was wondering what was the thought process that led to the decision to tear the annex down?
You're talking everything north of this wall?
Yes.
Let me answer.
Yes, sir.
When we knew we were gonna have to add to a maintenance building, the original thought was, how do we make improvements to the existing structure that's been used as the maintenance hub for a long time? So we brought in architects, we brought in engineers to look at that. We have a number of collapsing walls that would have to be replaced. There's an asbestos issue in there. The ceiling and the roof would need to be replaced on the entire structure, and it was never designed as a true maintenance facility. I mean, it was just classrooms turned into storage, turned into places to park lawnmowers and everything else. So we did a cost analysis that we then presented to the board. It was astronomical, the amount it was gonna cost to replace or to get that up to code to where we could have it as a standing maintenance facility. So once the engineers and architects came back with alternatives, just first and foremost, from a financial aspect, it wasn't even in the same ballpark, building new versus getting that north of this, literally this wall, up to code to where it could be a working maintenance facility.
You're struggling with traffic there on Hancock. Why wouldn't we open these classrooms back up and make them usable classrooms again as an alternative to the traffic?
We would be in similar, to get them upgraded to bring students back in. We actually did look at that as a possible. I don't know that we ever talked about like bringing elementary level kids, for example, but maybe looking down the road of alternative classrooms or some different kind of coursework in there.
I mean, this isn't, I don't mean to talk over you, but I mean, that has sentimental value to me for one, because I was the last group of kids that went there. And I just would hate to see this building removed. I mean, I know we're keeping the gym, and I think we've done a wonderful job preserving this, but I would like to see that preserved as well.
Yeah, to let me answer your question briefly though, to bring kids back in there, it's a whole different set of code we'd have to get it up to bring it to where we can make it workable classrooms to bring kids in to, because now you're talking restroom facilities, you're talking cafeteria facilities, you're talking everything else, and that would have been, I don't know the final numbers of that, all I know is it would have been greatly increased if we were gonna use it for actual student space versus just a maintenance hub of storage and equipment storage and paper storage and other kind of things. The cost would have been much more inflated if it was to bring kids in that building.
So the final decision's been made then that we're going to tear it down?
That was a year or so ago.
quote, it just come out in the newspaper that I saw just here last month.
Yeah, I think that was, when we started the process a year ago with the public meetings, I think that was pretty clear from the very beginning that a new
I mean,
maintenance facility.
we've talked about it extensively when, you know, with the last administrator. He had big plans for it, but none of it was feasible, and when you go in there, but even since I've been on the board, we spent thousands of dollars having the walls fixed, so it didn't fall down, you know.
Why did we let it
Tuck
get in
pointed
this
and
shape?
everything. I'm sorry.
Why was it allowed to get into this shape?
Because it's mainly back years ago when I was first on board, it's because of the asbestos in there and all that stuff back then.
The
That's
cost.
what- The cost wise on the asbestos, that's going back all the way to Oswald when he was superintendent and Mr. Landis. Because we tried several times, we was gonna make it into a wrestling area and all that stuff. But back then, when asbestos was a big deal with everything, that they wouldn't touch it.
And Darren, you're talking astronomical numbers. I mean, unbelievable when, that we were presented what it was gonna cost.
Anything else? Patrick makes motion adjourn. Cindy seconds, all in favor, 5-0. Don't forget, we got to sign